I was absolutely delighted when Primitive Technology UK sent me these flint knives in exchange for £5 plus postage. Flint knives, interesting topic I think, and one not really looked at very often. Now, they were in use for 2.5 to 3 million years. Up until the Bronze Age, although I suspect they're probably actually in use for a few thousand years after that. Would originally probably been used by Neanderthal or whatever is preceding Neanderthal. Theory is quite simple. Take a piece of flint and a hammer stone and bash at it like that. It is a skill. You don't just pick up a bit of flint and smash at it and get nice bits off it. You get waste, first of all, which is found quite a lot in a lot of these sort of flint knapping sites. Massive little bits, flakes of flint. Now, there is no flint knife, as it were. This is what I would always think of more as a flint knife. You can hold it and that sort of shape with it, or something like that. But it's a piece of flint with a sharp edge on it. I'm not keen on the word technology when it comes to things like this. It's basically somebody's bashed a rock, really. However, I've often wondered as well how effective they are. So, let's have a look. Whilst thinking about tonight's dinner, I wondered if it would be possible to use flint knives to do it. Lo and behold, it turns out, I hope, because I'm going hungry and I'll get told off, that it probably is. So let's see what first of all. Green beans. How good is it at cutting up green beans? We'll put a couple there. The history of cooking is quite fascinating. I don't know a lot about it, but I have read a book once. Oh, blimey, that's good. But I can't remember much about it. So the recipe does call for green beans. It's going to be chicken in peanut butter with chilies and whatever. So actually, blimey. That goes through that. We'll get rid of that. Really, really well. I wonder how Mrs. Dimbo66 would think if right, now we're not going to be using metal knives anymore, despite the fact I've heard a couple. We're going to be using flint knives. Can't think she's going to be too impressed. Oh no, right, that's green beans. Well, that was pretty good. Coriander, British coriander, if you believe Asda. A few bits of that. So, how do you cut up coriander? Let's try this. I like this one. I'm going to use this quite often. Wow. Yeah, the history of cooking. I'm not so going to look at it. I listened to a Radio 4 documentary about it, and it was absolutely fascinating. Really was what brought society together, led to all sorts of allegiances, friendships. Well, that'll do, won't it? No, it could be a bit smaller, really. And it's like another of these things, not entirely sure exactly who did it first or where it was done. Right. That'll do. No, let's try that one with the chilli, shall we? Right, so that's, hang on, that's rubbish, isn't it? That's decent. Now, chilies. Try a little one. Let's try this one. All right, not quite as good. Depends which way around you hold. I'm trying to try it that way. Right, I think if you're into any sort of survival situation, then perhaps flint knapping is going to be a skill. Well, that's a bit crude, isn't it? Flint knapping might be a skill. Let's carry on with that one. God, that really does go well. Flint knapping is possibly going to be a skill that I think would be quite useful to learn. Obviously, you can make axes and all sorts of things. Well, obviously, but I want that a bit finer. Might actually finish it off with move into the Iron Age and finish it off with a metal knife tonight. Yep, okay, that's not brilliant. Now, see what they were mostly intended for, of course. KV not being really very well known for his plant-based diet, as we have to call it now. Eat proper meat, you fools, you feel a lot better for it. Right, so let's see, how does it do against chicken? Historical accuracy of chicken, I don't care, to be honest. Let's see. I hate the feel of dead meat. Ugh. God, blimey. Now these would also, of course, have been used for removing fur, but I haven't actually got anything that needs fur removing from it. Next door's cat's been behaving itself quite well recently. So, all right, takes a bit of effort. See what it's like through thinner bits of chicken. I've not really tried cutting anything with these before, but I'm actually really surprised at how well these do actually cut. Yep. Yeah, right. So, flint knives. Not entirely sure they have that much of a place in... Let's just try this one. Why not? Yeah, do flint knives have much of a place in the modern world? Well, no, not really. What's the point? But, as I said, I think learning to flint that would be a really useful... All right, that's not cutting very well at all. Would be a really useful skill to be able to make a tool like that. I think it'd be something worth doing.